What do you mean?
This is hands down probably the strongest build that I've put on Ghostface. You guys may have seen my other builds, but this one is like one that I'm going to bring back for the for another video to showcase for you guys. The sheer power that this thing can hold. Now this will be close commentary because we haven't really used this build in quite some time, and the reason for that is obviously just because of the fact I just like the comfort, and I'm just used to using my normal main build. But this one is we pull out every once in a while. Now, first off, we get a really good amount of stock on a couple of different survivors. We do end up going after and chasing the one that does not have any stock at all. And we're also going toward the side without Corrupt blocking the generators. That is the best way to utilize Corrupt, is to force them to that side where the areas aren't blocked, and then you chase people within that range. To you know, your presence alone will be able to pressure the gens. And as you can see here, we did end up using a stack after we gotten it, but that's because we don't really have any stalking on the ace, and we figured that the best thing to do would obviously be to go toward the area without the corrupted gens. Now, because we had downed them within this area, we hooked them there. That'll pull the survivors toward the other side here, or where we are trying to sort of apply the most amount of pressure. Now this gen is already almost done. Because gen speeds are what they are, we do then look around and try to find the obsession so we can start to build up our tokens, because the true strength comes from applying all of the speed boosts together in one big big swing pretty much. So the idea for this build is obviously focusing on using play with your food along with the drop leg knife sheath to create probably the strongest potential down you could possibly get, and that obviously requires you to sort of keep the obsession sort of distracted long enough for you to build up enough tokens, and then stalk whoever you need to stalk. Which, think about each token as sort of like a free down, right? Like a free hook, if you will. So by building up your tokens, you're essentially buying yourself free hook states. So you get about 3 every time you break chase with the obsession. Now, I've seen some people try to look away and then like run off or something. You don't really necessarily have to do that. What you do have to do is move backwards, okay? It's all about the proximity of where you're actually standing. Now, you're seeing once again the power of the play with your food speed boost, because we are able to quite literally walk right past the person trying to body block, and then he also runs away, which will give us an extra token if we are missing one, which we did get it. Now, I did attempt to see if we can try to down him, but he ran all the way across the map, and you know this map is quite large, so it wasn't really worth actually going for that, especially when you know that Jake is also in the area. So another tidbit that I will give about this build, because it is a quite tricky build to use. It's very unorthodox even for myself who created the build. The idea would be to just obviously do not try to M1 everybody unless they are exposed with your mark. And also, you may notice that I'm running the Walleyes matchbook, and the reason for that is there's another tactic that I usually do with Ghostface, and it's when I am currently in my power and I have the 99 or whatever have you, I'll swing and break myself out of the shroud so I can have it on cooldown without sooner, so that when I do need the power back, it'll be recharged and ready to go when I need to. It's just a little bit of a power management, just so you can maximize your ability, especially because it is about a 20-second cooldown. So you do want to kind of micromanage that and not let them not let the survivors break you out of your power, because you're gonna need it. Now, with this build, you're using tokens with play with your food, and with play with your food, you cannot just swing out because you're gonna lose tokens. So you ideally want them to break you out of your power, if you can. If not, you know what I'm saying, it really doesn't matter. But you kind of have to ignore it and just kind of let the survivors take you out of your power in certain instances, just so that you're able to have it on cooldown. And obviously we have the shorter cooldown because we're not able to micromanage it ourselves. And now you're going to see here that we are utilizing our Friends to the End perk to show us where the obsession is, so we can then focus on downing somebody else which with our 2 stacks to play with your food literally makes it impossible for him to even reach the next pallet. Now the thing is, this build actually does solve one of Ghostface's glaring issues, which is obviously the fact that he does lack a lot of speed. He does lack a lot of chase potential on base kit. Now keep in mind that as an experienced killer player, or killer main rather, obviously the footwork comes into play, strategies come into play. But in most cases, if you are starting out and you're used to killers that do have a power that can actually be applied to chase, you are gonna kind of be, you know, a fish out of water, if that makes any sense, because you're not gonna have anything but your own, you know, 2 feet and your knife basically to try to make something happen. And that's sort of what I value a lot about this killer, is that it really showcases your skill as a player. Now I did go for the swing there because I did have the 2 stacks, so I had assumed that my lunge would have reached him, but the fast vaulting animation was a lot quicker. And then he also ends up using dead hard because, you know, every survivor needs a second chance instead of actually, you know, being good at the game. So ideally, we then switch over to them. Now you're noticing that we utilize a quick little like you know, mind game there, which is to turn on our shroud when we turn a corner to hide our light immediately, so they think we double backed. It's a very small thing, but it caused them to hesitate, which then got me the down there. And those are like minor things that you'll pick up, or you may see me do in my other Ghostface videos that you can also apply yourselves. Now, even so, like with this build, it is very stock focused. So as you can see, we're in a position where we don't really have anybody stocked at all, and that is not really a great scenario. But ideally, and especially because of the map size, we do have to kind of you know, kind of held on to a certain side of the map. Now we're going for regular M1s here because we don't have tokens, like I've recommended you guys to do. If you do use this build, if you don't have tokens, just go for regular M1s because there's no other way around it. We do get the down there. We know that there's somebody close by. Once again, it's the Allen. We knock him down as well. We give him a hook because we know that it'll actually show us the location of the obsession. So we hook him. That'll show us now he's over here. We start going towards him so we can start then getting more tokens. We use that opportunity, but he was actually exposed. So that is one aspect of Friends Till the End that you want to utilize, and it is understanding how the perk works, which is if you down the obsession and hook them, it'll switch the obsession. If you down somebody and hook them that aren't the obsession, it will show you the location of the obsession, as you see right there on the screen, and then it will also expose them. And we'll make them about pretty much a single hit to knock, as you would say if you marked them. Which the reason I had utilized this perk compared to say Nemesis or a different perk that will switch the obsession is obviously so you can constantly switch out your obsession. And as you can see, we completely leverage the game to our side. Just off of the perk, as like, you know, showing us where that next person was, and then from here we were utilizing another strategy. They go ahead and save that person. We block them so that they can't go for the save. Let them do that, and then we also get a pallet out of it, which we then ignore, so that we can actually go after the obsession now to start building up our tokens, so I can get more value out of the build. Now, as I've said before, I would used to run it with Nemesis, but the thing with Nemesis is that it does rely on survivors to do what you need them to do, which in most cases they're going to do the exact opposite. Even something as simple as getting stunned by Nemesis to switch your obsession, they're will actively just not even try to stun you. They'll go ahead and pre-drop it or fly off or do something else, even though you just want them to drop the pallet on your head so you can then get your obsession to switch to start building up your tokens. Now, thankfully, Friends to the End does not require anything on the survivors end beyond just kind of getting downed, I guess, which is something they always do. So you're pretty much going to be good in that department. It also requires you to obviously get the down as soon as possible on either the obsession or showing Friends to the End will actually, you know, downing somebody else with Friends to the End will obviously show you what the obsession is, and then you can then use that information to build up your stacks. Because that is mainly what you want to be focusing on. You do not want to be M1ing normally unless you do not have tokens. As you can see here, now we have 3 tokens. I wanted to go ahead and switch over to the other person, and I had assumed, which is a mistake on my part, right? You're gonna notice it. You're gonna notice it later on in the last portion of the match. But as you can also see, my stalking is quite good, in my opinion. You know, we're not really getting revealed at all, but we're getting some really strong stalk. And then we're also moving at the maximum speed here. As you can see, we pretty much just flew directly up to him without even having to, without a single hitch, really. But the thing was, I had assumed that I would be able to see the aura of the obsession, which is the exact opposite of what I should have done. What I should have done was actually the opposite. What I should have done was knock down the obsession, and then while I put them on the hook, it'll actually show me the location of the ace by letting them yell when the obsession then gets switched, and then from there I could have gotten that down. So that ended up costing me at least one kill, because behavior did end up spawning the hatch under their feet, as they always do. But either way, that is the first match utilizing the build for you guys. So we'll go ahead and cut forward. So we find ourselves on the Shattered Square, or the Decimated Borgo, whatever you prefer. Once again, we're going to be reviewing and seeing how I could have maybe done it differently, and also giving tips on using this build if you decide to do so. It is probably one of the strongest builds for Ghostface. It utilizes one of his strongest aspects, which is the expose, as well as solving the problem of not having say an anti-loop or anything to give you a crutch, really, besides an expose. So this is what at a high level, what you pretty much would have to kind of expect. I would assume. Now we got a pretty good amount of stack, stock, and everything else. As you can see, we completely deleted him from being able to utilize anything there. Now, and that is a sheer power, man. We were able to stack the 2 stacks, throw on the extra 10% movement speed. We completely zoomed all the way around the pallet, and it was over. Now, as you're going to see, they're already closing in for body blocks. We're not going to waste a token. We want to actually get more stalking in. That is the idea. And what we're going to try to do is actually just try to recharge our ability and get more stalking. Because like I've told of you guys plenty of times with this build, we do not waste our tokens on just M1s as much as we can. We just try to focus on stalking as much as possible. And then we notice that the obsession does get picked up again. So then we go ahead and try to follow them again, so that we're able to build up more tokens. Because ideally, if you have 1 token, that's your opportunity to start building more. If you have 0, then just swing away. It doesn't matter. But obviously, we're trying to get our tokens up. Now, I had used my 1 token for the speed boost to just once again get the pickup, because I figured he would wiggle free anyway. And then we just make our way towards another hook. Now, that was the reason why I ended up swinging at the Nia, because we just do not want to waste our stacks on one-hit targets. Like, if they're injured, use your tokens. If they're exposed, use your token. But if it's 2 hits, it's a waste of tokens. You're not, like, you have to visualize your spider tokens, right? Your little flies that you're trying to catch as 1 token is a free down. That is essentially what it is. And by utilizing that, we'll once again go ahead and pick the gen, because now we're protecting the gen. You end up getting the save, which is fine. And now we just go ahead and go after the ace, because we notice that all of them are trying to fly in, go for body blocks, sabos, whatever have you. We see he's kind of trying to wait around, I'm assuming for his base kit BT and whatnot. So thankfully he decided to be gracious enough to stop clowning around and just go down. So we go ahead and then once again break another generator to buy us a little bit more time. Now he's busy wiggling around, I guess begging for his life. So we're just waiting around. We know somebody was going to come for a save. So what we try to do is once again build up more tokens. We stock off the generator and then see if they could drop the pallet for us in the process, as well as building up our tokens. They once again want to pick up the ace. Now once again, what we're going to do, we're going to try to pull the, you see what he's trying to do? He's trying to bait him, to get the swing in so he could fall directly under the pallet and try to get them to go for the save. We completely countered that because obviously the way that we're utilizing here, he's once again trying to go for fakes and all this types of nonsense. It doesn't work on us. We play at a high level. He really believes in his mind that we're one of these goofy goobers when we're not. You know what I'm saying? We're utilizing strategies here because we know that every time we down him and every time we put him on the hook is just going to make it a lot easier for us. Now we see the aura of the obsession, so we know exactly where to go. She's standing next to the block gen to try to finish it off. We try to crouch down here to make sure we cut off the line of sight. They kind of already see us anyway, so that's why I don't go around stalking crouching around all the time. I know I see some Ghostface players do that. For whatever reason, it's not really the most optimal thing to do, especially when you're moving a lot slower, and they also will still be able to reveal you regardless if you're crouched down or not. So it really is just kind of a waste. Now, they ended up getting instantly healed, so what we're now going to do is see if we can stock up the ace if possible. They're going to finish a gen, that's fine. You know, gen speeds are very easy to do. It's really not that it doesn't really require skill, so you know that's going to get done within seconds. So then what we're trying to do here is just wait for our power to recharge, so then we can try to focus on getting the Nia about 99. And then we can try to see if we can pull a pallet out of it, which we did. So we just continue to go around and see if we can get the obsession to pull up as well, get another token, and we just continue to use our matchbook add-on. And then we switch over to him because we want to build up as much as we can, get the pallet out of it. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, we're pretty much dragging everybody around because we know that they want to protect him at all costs. And because of that, now we are able to then get some pretty easy stalking. And this build is very risky, to keep in mind. It's a very snowball heavy, very risky build, but thankfully because we are able to at least build up our 2 stacks, we're also able to break this pallet. We're just going to go ahead and just keep an eye out because, you know, they do have flashlights, and we also want to keep in mind that we can snowball off of this because there's a couple different people that are marked, so we actually can go ahead and down the Nia here is also trying to go for a save, so we down them. That's a free down. We go ahead and go right back. They're going to pick up the ace again, and we're seeing how we're utilizing their altruism against them because, as you can see, all of them are trying to go for saves and block and try to get some clips for their TikToks or some nonsense. We're using that to our advantage by then, you know, using the ace as that sort of point of interest, that beacon or whatever, or the magnet, whatever you want to call it, right? To try to drag them in like moths to a flame. He tries to fly into the locker. That doesn't work. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, as I expected. Running boil over. That doesn't mean anything. He goes down anyway. He gets eliminated. And there's a hook right around the corner. They're trying to fly in for a body block. Nope, that doesn't work. Now we can go ahead and start marking up the Ada here just to keep them as what do you call it? As stocked up as much as we can. Now I do realize that I actually had realized that how the perk worked. I always forget. I get confused sometimes with the perks with this particular perk because I forget the effect that what it does at times. So I had realized that they were exposed, and then we were able to down them, which was awesome. Now, the idea would be to then try to find where the obsession is and continue to go after that person and start snowballing from there. So we find them, we try to get pallets out of it, and we don't really go for the swing because we're very committed to trying to get our stock up as much as possible to maximize value. Which, keep in mind that this build is very snowball centric. It's all about trying to build pressure as soon as possible, trying to use all your like stalking from everybody and try to snowball a plan off of that. Right, that's the idea. Now we do go for the M1 here, and I figure it's mainly because of the fact that we only have the 1 token and we need to start getting another down. So we did have to sacrifice a little bit of the snowball potential here, so we can actually just hurry up and get the down to start switching the obsession again. Because ideally we're utilizing everything within the kit here. And for those of you who are curious, because it's like, oh, why corrupt and not lethal or something, so you get more like a longer aura read. Corrupt is specifically so that when they do spawn, they're not immediately touching the gen within seconds of you spawning, so that you end up like getting more time at the beginning to get more stocks in and have more slowdown at the start, so that you can actually have a chance to even build up enough stock and even build up enough pressure in creating a plan, especially when You know, compared to lethal, you'll just essentially watch them spawn on top of the generator, and then they just kind of finish it off by the time you even get there, essentially. Obviously due to, you know, obviously due to the, what do you call it, the map size, as well as the fact that I know a lot of I've seen a lot of Ghostface players like to crouch around, so I know if they're running lethal and they're going to go ahead and do that, they're gonna essentially watch them just get on the gen and they'll be finished off by the time they get there, essentially. Even with the crouch speed buff. I'm sort of, which I'm being mainly sarcastic there, but the point I'm trying to make is that corrupt is definitely required at the high levels, especially. Because even the aura reading is not necessarily something I 100% rely on. We're using the aura reading now because we know that the Nia is actually pretty much afraid, because I'm pretty sure she's exposed for about 20 or so seconds. I believe we actually start to stock up the what do you call, what the hell is it? Oh my god, I'm not what the hell is her damn name? I forgot. Claire, there we go. Oh, and then the Ada actually did rage quit there as well, so we were able to get some pretty good stocking on there. We also go and get some more stocking on Nia, and then this is one of the most important aspects of the build here, and is getting everybody 99. And by doing that is where it really shines. You know what I'm saying? Because think of, like as I've said, now we're trying to get some more tokens here, so that's why we're backing up. You're gonna see that. I also try to break pallets and stuff like that to bait them to run off, but of course I gotta get the blind. I gotta get the blind. So they're getting all close to me. So we want to back away so that we're able to then get our tokens up, and that is the idea. Now, in another video, I did actually calculate like how much speed you actually do gain from every bonus that you could run. And I also do have a video where I'm utilizing all the speed bonuses from Play With Your Food, Rapid, and Batteries included as well, to try to create that speed build that people have, I know one of you guys have requested, which I would say is definitely one of the more difficult builds that I was trying to utilize. Now you see this other person's running behind me to try to get another save toward the end of the match. I'm assuming they think that... they really think that they're going to get one or something. They haven't gotten one since the game started, but I guess they're very hopeful. So either way, we're going ahead and utilizing the footwork here, and then once we actually get the stock in, it's a complete wash, because by the time they vault, they only make one rotation. We go around the pallet at full speed, and they don't make anything else. Now, just due to the structure, obviously they will be able to make an extra rotation, but we're moving so fast that they're literally, like, will not be able to make anything at all. Now keep in mind, even in a dead zone, it's even deadlier, because there won't be any defense at all. So they get down even faster. And this is within combination. And then this is the way that the build works, right? Because it pretty much creates an anti-loop in a way, right? Because by the time you make them one shot, they don't have any choice but to try to run and use all the resources. And you're completely downing them before they even have a chance to do anything. And it definitely is very effective. One of the strongest builds you could run for Ghostface is due to that fact. And it's definitely due to the combination of the add-on. As you can see, she even fast vaulted out of that window. We were already there right behind her, knocking her down. She had no chance of escape. Now that is definitely the strength of the build. And we're then going to try to see if we can try to show another example. We're also going to take a look at the builds as well. So here we are again. I'm going to see if I can break down sort of the build and why it works, and also I'll break down the gameplay. So you can see this is one of the earlier stages when I was actually returning to the game after a break. At the time I recorded this gameplay, and also trying to sort of understand the build a lot better. So we ended up getting the same map you may have seen in the video before, but this map is quite decent. Now, first thing I'll mention is corrupt value. Right here, you're going to notice. You see how all the survivors are going to the other side of the map because of the fact that the gens are blocked. This is what you want. And that is how you get corrupt value. Right off the bat, there it is. You know what I'm saying? That is corrupt value. They're not able to spawn on top of the gen and immediately get progress. Because keep in mind that when you do spawn, the timer is pretty much ticking if you don't have corrupt, because of the fact that they spawn on top of gens, and they immediately start the gen. So that's what, like, so every second you're walking over, that's 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, all being on top of the gen, and you barely even got there yet. We run corrupt so that we're able to then build up our stocking, build up our power, and here, right this at this very moment is where I made a fatal mistake that cost me a lot of pressure. And you're gonna probably ask why, and you're gonna see that in a second that it is my overextension. And the reason I called this the overextension is because even though that Dwight has been marked, that does not guarantee a down. So when people hear, oh, Ghostface marks you for 60 seconds, they think, oh, that's insane. How what? Like, what do you mean? That like, in very low MMR, killer players, survivor mains, etc. will hear that, and even like the low MMR, survivor mains who put on Ghostface for a match and then go, oh my goodness, this guy's so good, he's so strong. What are you talking about? He's not low tier. Which I've had that conversation, and it's like talking to a brick wall, because they just actively do not understand how this game works. But keep in mind, okay. Also, I was missing my swings there. My timing was way off there, which is unfortunate. But keep in mind that, as you saw right there in the video, Dwight was able to outrun the entire expose, especially with their teammate also going in for a body block. Thankfully, they were marked. It would have completely been a waste of time. Sure, it would have been 2 people in chase, but it wouldn't have mattered much. Now, once again, here's another portion that showcases a weakness in the build, which is going to be, especially if you don't have your tokens, it's definitely going to be this perk right there with Sprint Burst flying off. So Friends to the End will not really give you that expose, and I wouldn't recommend relying on it. You obviously want to rely on your stalking. That's what it's for, is to get that one-shot ability. I use Friends to the End more so as information and switching the obsession. And you don't need Lethal Pursuer for that, because it's not really an aura build. It's more so a means of switching the obsession, as I probably have mentioned before. We used to run Nemesis, but because of this perk coming out, it makes it a lot easier to switch the obsession and also provide extra pressure, in the sense that that obsession is going to have to deal with that expose also active, so make it pretty much difficult for them to really make a lot happen. And then even if, say, the 20 seconds runs out, you then have your marking that you can utilize to also get the obsession on the ground, switch the obsession again, and repeat the process, and so that you can continue to maintain your stacks. Now, the reason I even created the build in this way, and the reason I focus my builds in this way, is because of the fact that I've seen builds where play with your food pretty much gets just removed from the equation, because of the fact that the obsession ends up getting the obsession themselves gets removed from the equation. And that is a problem I had with the builds that I've seen, because I always would think like that, damn, like you can continue to keep getting more speed if you just were able to switch the obsession. It seemed like a no-brainer to me, at least. Now, as I'm assuming here, we once again see Survivor Second Chances at play here. We're also pretty much playing without any tokens here. So this is definitely one of those matches that aren't as picture perfect, but we still want to showcase, because with builds, there's definitely a lot of variables to take into account. And you can expect probably you expect the builds to be shown to work in videos, and obviously this is no exception. But we're also showcasing one of the more the more shaky looking matches, where it's like, okay, we're really not getting a lot of value, but we still can, which is obviously due to our own ability, right? Because we definitely could have played the beginning a lot better, and snowballed off of that. And that's why I definitely say that the build is not something you just kind of throw on and call it a day and you're gonna just win. It doesn't work that way. It's definitely something that will kind of force you into a situation where you're gonna have to learn how to use your stalking and understand how to do it a lot better if you want to get better with this particular aspect of Ghostface. This is the build to do it, because if you want more value, you want to maximize the build here, and you're gonna see another aspect of Ghostface's power, They're breaking me out of Shroud by running directly through me, around me, all the types of stuff. This is why we run the matchbook, so that we can just continue. And you're gonna see, look, they keep running behind me, trying to make sure that I don't get the stalk in, and stuff like that. So they're trying their best, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to BM, if you will, you know, and do all that kinds of stuff. But all we're doing is just allowing it to give us the opportunity to get the free down as soon as possible. And that's what we do, right? And then we can go ahead and hook them right there. It'll switch the obsession to somebody else, which turned out it would be the Ada. We then can use that to get a free hit, because, you know, by the time they run away, we'll get our token back. And that would pretty much be the goal. So that's why we go ahead and just quickly break the pallets. Let them. You see how I walk backwards? It's so that it doesn't matter if you're looking at them. It's just within proximity. That's what registers as a chase. So that's why, like, while it's on cooldown, we try to you know, go back and forth. Now in this particular situation, we really didn't have to do anything really, because I realized that we already have our token back. We're moving with 2 tokens now, and then look at that, it switches back over to the Yui, who ended up taking a hook. Deadlock comes in for that as well. They're of course instantly healing with medkits and whatnot. It's and then we just go for the M1, because we know that they're going to run off and give us our token back. So it's like as you saw, I got refunded pretty much because of that the proximity. Now, this is also why I run it with Corrupt and Deadlock, is so that we can have that information from Deadlock as well to show us which has the most, you know, progressed gen, as well as blocking the gen. Corrupt giving us that early game slowdown for stalking and whatnot. And then now from here we utilize yet another strategy that I've showcased in different videos, which is trying to stay within the proximity. Now, as you can see, because of the proximity again to the obsession, we then gain 2 tokens. And obsessions like these, I recommend going, like, of having, like, you know, dealing with obsessions that have sprint bursts and stuff like that. They love trying to fly off, and that's the exact opportunity you can get to get more tokens. Now we're seeing here another strategy I utilize, which is staying within proximity to try to pull in more survivors toward the hook. And then that's exactly what ends up happening, because now we get the Ada down to pretty much death hook off the first hook. Because of our proximity. Now we're just trying to mark, it didn't really matter much, but we've just gone ahead and marked them anyway in case they got fully healed, because their healing speeds have been very quick. So we just ended up marking them anyway. It also gave us extra points, and then we took them out of the game completely at 3 gens, as I recommend you do. Now we go ahead and start checking on the Shack, because this is a gen that hasn't really been looked at much. Now from here we're trying to see if we can get an angle to get more stalking. Now we know that the survivors are going to try to use their check spots and try to keep an eye out for where you're at. Now we just utilize that to our advantage. I was getting revealed behind the wall, as honestly as per usual, because that's what tends to happen for some reason. Because the game tends to be very generous with its reveal mechanics. So with that being said, what we're trying to do here is get the pallet out, just trying to buy extra time so we can get our power to recharge. And that's why we obviously go for the matchbook, and that's why it's such a vital aspect. Now we're once again utilizing basically 3 stacks, because of the 1 stack with the add-on. It did end up going towards Shack. Now we're down to about 120%. And if we just get another pallet, that's completely fine. They're going to have to vault it unless they want to go down, which is, of course, what happens. And then that'll then, once again, show us where the obsession is. Now, once again, you may notice, look, that, like, once again, deadlock value. We're next to the gen with the most amount of progress. We're able to put them in the basement. And then from there, it'll actually expose where the obsession is. Now, for some reason, the gen over there had actually popped, despite the deadlock blocking the gen next to me. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but now you can see that we found the Dwight. Now we don't have any tokens, so we'll just M1 normally as we normally do, and he ends up kind of like teleporting across the map. Which at first I was a bit curious as to, you know, what that was about. I had figured maybe it was a modder or a hacker, if you will, or cheater, or whatever you want to call it, at first. But with further inspection, you may see later on in the video I think it was actually just lag, which is pretty funny. But yeah, because we're also getting like revealed across the map, so I had just assumed it was the like a modder of some kind. So I was like, let me just focus on the obsession, and then we'll call it a day. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut forward real quick, just so that we get to the toward the end of the match. So there you go. We go ahead and see he's just kind of like running into a wall. So and then he just kind of started slingshotting toward the other walls. So it pretty much means it was definitely lag. So we were able to just take them out of the game, and it should show us where they are, but they can't hide in lockers to prevent, you know, obviously the horror read. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move forward to the next match. Now we are on the final match for the video for you guys. We're once again on Sanctum of Wrath, and this was just for some reason the only matches I really had on the hard drive, really, for these games here, or the memory, or for whatever you will. What? I don't know. Either way, now here once again we're utilizing the, you know, stalking. They have sprint burst, but thankfully we're moving at a very good amount of speed, so they basically make 0 distance, and then we get the free down. Within seconds, we were able to get a free down, we were able to get the pickup, and then we're also going to be able to put them on a hook and find out where the next obsession is going to be. Now, one tidbit I will add is that I would recommend just hooking them toward the corner of the map. It definitely brings down a lot of their options, but I didn't actually end up doing that. Now, we do see that the obsession is now Lisa. We try to see if we can find anybody closing in, but they already somehow got unhooked. So we then just make our way right back over. And then we just start to mark up the Cheryl in case they're going to get healed. But I figure if they're just going to stand there. I did actually forget at that point that they had sprint burst, but we were still able to get the knockdown pretty easily. So we go ahead and get the pickup. Now, they did have Decisive Strike, but that once again works in our favor. Because they're now the obsession again, we were able to just build up some more tokens. We'd go ahead and actually get the M1. During that window that we're still in chase with Cheryl, quote unquote, then we just utilize that to then go after the Alan again, who's now injured, and then we once again use our token to get another down. Which is what I highly recommend to do. Like, when you're really in tune with the build like this, you can definitely utilize different things like that. Now here I had figured that maybe they had Dead Hard, that's why we're trying to crouch to get them to swing their Dead Hard out. But it didn't really seem like it was really working out that way. So then we just decided, yeah, we'll just down them and just go ahead and hook the Alan now and try to do that. I had figured that maybe it would have been probably better to hook the Cheryl first, to actually switch the obsession. But as you can see, it actually just gives us the aura, and that would just be for like the sort of like the min-max like sort of aspect of the build if you really want to do that. Now he decides to use Deliverance to then sabo the hook afterwards for whatever reason. We just then put them on the hook next to that one, and then we leave the Alan on the ground, so that it would be we'll just leave him there so he's near the hook that he decided to sabo. I just thought it would be more like fitting that he would end up on the same hook he destroyed. So now we go after the Lisa. We get the free M1 because we don't have any tokens. She runs away. And then we just kind of keep an eye out. We do notice that there's another person within this area. The hook then respawns, the other one quits, and then we go ahead and try to find where the Alan is so we can then put him on that same hook he decided to destroy. Now this was going for a glyph, so we go ahead and just stand there so we can get our token back and use that speed boost from play with your food to make the hook a little bit faster. Once again, another aspect of the build, as you can see, they're trying to run behind me for some reason. That gives me another token. Is the fact that you can carry people like a lot quicker as well. You can one-shot them basically with having 1 to 3 tokens. Each token basically gets you a free down essentially. And this build also will teach you how to, well, kind of not even just teach you, but force you to have to get M1s if you want value. Because if you're not just using your tokens for getting exposed downs, I mean, at that point, why even put on the perks? You know, at that point, you're just having it for decoration because you're not actually using the build in the first place. So this right here is why I consider this build to be one of the strongest for Ghostface. I don't tend to run it that often, mainly because of the fact that it is a snowball sort of based kind of build. You do have to get a lot of stocks in. You definitely have to micromanage, like, you know, obviously those levels, your tokens, your power recharge, the obsession and whatnot. So you do have to kind of keep up with that, alongside with the fact that you have to kind of keep up, like, with the other aspects of the match, like the, you know, play styles that maybe survivors are doing, or, you know, items. I mean, there's a lot of things already as a killer that you do have to keep in mind. So adding this to the list of those things can, if you do want to actually partake in that, I mean, feel free to do so, because it is quite a strong build if you do want to add that onto your to-do list in that sense. So right here, we're just marking the injured person just so we can utilize all of the speed at once, just for that little fun aspect of showcasing how fast you really can be. It really cuts down the chase a lot as well. But it is mainly it's really mainly a snowball based build in that sense, you know. Like I keep saying, because if you keep in mind, like, you're gonna have to not only juggle the play with your food tokens, who the obsession is, getting your tokens back up, and then also the gens, and also keep in mind like, you know, when and where you can then activate your power to then get that quick boom mark and then into the down, and then from there, you know, that kind of thing. Now, this is also why I tend to run the normal build I usually do, because it just makes it a lot simpler, especially when it comes down to chase. It's like, okay, get the 2 pallets. You know, I run Spirit Fury Enduring pretty much majority of the time, and that's mainly so that, you know, it makes the chases a lot quicker, a lot easier. It's very simple to just be like, okay, 2 pallets, boom, hit the down, all right, cool, snowball, wait it out, blah, blah, blah. Now here, because there's a little tidbit you may or may not know. If you run, and this clown really tried to fake the window vault, she didn't know what hit her, so we then got an extra token right back. It got refunded. But you may not know, or you may do know, you may, whatever. If you mark 2 different people, it actually stacks up your speed boost, so it actually gives you about 20% for I think 10 seconds or something like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then, as you can see, we immediately get everybody on the ground. We then hook up the obsession, so then it can show us where the other person is down, and then we obviously put them on a hook as well. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember this gameplay correctly, they do end up 4%ing, because obviously behavior just is in love with giving them second chances, and they do actually wait till I hook the other person to do that, so it does end up artificially extending the match when the game should have already been over. But we're not really going to be surprised by that. I mean, this is DBD for you. This is kind of what ends up happening for some reason, because I was wondering, like, why didn't the game just end already? Like, you know, like, they're all on the hook. Like, they should have just been gone, but for some reason this Meg is still there, which I just didn't really understand. I wasn't too sure why that's the case. Like, I don't know why that's not like a mechanic or in the game where, like, if everyone's on the hook, that's it, game over. Like, because now the Meg gets off the hook for some reason, and now we have to take more time to get them on the ground. Now, what I'm trying to do here is mark them up, because I figure this is an opportunity to just get more points, and also to utilize the build a little bit more. They're running towards me for whatever reason. We just go ahead and get some more tokens off of this clown, and then we go ahead and try to fly over to the Meg, get them on the ground, etc., etc. Because, you know, the DVD, you know, and obviously the fun police have to come in at some point to prevent you from actually enjoying your game, and this is no exception. This is really truly no exception. Now, once again, we're just trying to just go ahead and we're basically, as the perk implies, playing with our food here, because we already know we won the game. We've shown that we've won the game, but we're just making it even better by doing that. Now, of course, they have an ice trap, you know, because survivors need to have something, you know, for whatever reason. Now, the thing is, I would have gone for the hook on Meg to figure out where the obsession would have been, but we do have residual manifest active on us, so we'll not be able to see the auras anyway. So I figure we just go ahead and mark up this person and just mark up Lisa and just get the down from there. And then the smart thing that we did here, which is what I recommend doing, is you actually hook the person who is the obsession, and then what it'll do, you hook them, and then it'll show you where the other person is, in a yell format. Because of the way that auras are, we want to just try to use something that they can't really directly counter. And as you can see, we then find where the other person is, the Meg, and then we just put them on a hook. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things for me. With that being said, stay tuned for more Ghostface related content. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.